Welcome to Make It a Murderer, Rubberducky YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me today. We're doing RD Make It a Murderer, and this is our daily MaM Reading CASO Investigative Reports, 421 for 30 pages, and it is part 43. Page 421. Type of activity supplemental report. Date of activity 11/29/05. Reporting officer Deputy Jeremy Hawkins. On 11/29/05, I, Deputy Jeremy Hawkins of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, released a master lock key to storage unit number 3, bearing property tag number 663, to Deputy Rick Reamer of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department. The key was released to Deputy Reamer in order to process a John Deere 320 skid steer located in storage unit number 3. The John Deere skid steer, bearing property tag 8667, was also signed over to Deputy Reamer. On 11/29/05, the John Deere skid steer, bearing property tag number 8667, was locked in storage unit number 3, and the master lock key to storage unit number 3, bearing property tag number 663, was returned to me. Deputy Reamer signed back over both the skid steer and the key to me. Deputy Jeremy Hawkins, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 422. Type of activity supplemental report. Date of activity 12/08/05. Reporting officer Deputy Jeremy Hawkins. On 12/08/05, I, Deputy Jeremy Hawkins of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, was informed that Charles Avery would be coming to the Sheriff's Department to pick up the John Deere skid steer, bearing property tag 8667. The John Deere skid steer was okayed to be released to Charles Avery by Investigator Wiegert. On 12/08/05 at approximately 7 o'clock a.m., Charles Avery and I went to the storage units and to storage unit number 3, where the John Deere skid steer was being held. The John Deere skid steer was released to Charles Avery. Charles Avery signed the evidence document taking custody of the John Deere skid steer. Deputy Jeremy Hawkins, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 423. Type of activity supplemental report. Date of activity 01/13/06. Reporting officer Deputy Jeremy Hawkins. On 01/13/06, I, Deputy Jeremy Hawkins of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, released a camcorder tape of the property prior to the release of the scene, bearing property tag number 8044, to Investigator John Dietering. On 01/13/06, I released the following items to Investigator Mark Wiegert: a pair of broken glasses bearing property tag 7100, a Toyota key bearing property tag number 7620, a single key bearing property tag number 8114, 2 keys on a keyring bearing 2003 on a keyring bearing property tag number 8012. Also released to Investigator Wiegert was a compact laptop computer with serial number CN3123850, bearing property tag number 7823. The compact laptop was turned over to Karen Habach. All items that were released to Investigator Wiegert were signed over to Investigator Wiegert. On 01/13/06, the following items were returned by Investigator Wiegert: Toyota key bearing property tag number 7620, pair of broken glasses bearing property tag 7100, a single key bearing property tag 8114, and a key ring with 2 keys bearing property tag number 8012. The items were signed back over to me and were secured in long-term storage. Deputy Jeremy Hawkins, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 424. Type of activity supplemental report. Date of activity 02/10/06. Reporting officer Deputy Jeremy Hawkins. On 02/10/06, I, Deputy Jeremy Hawkins of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, signed over and released a personal journal bearing property tag number 7824 to Investigator Mark Weger. The journal was returned to me later on 02/10/06, where I signed and took custody of the journal from Investigator Weger. The following items were taken out of evidence to see if we could determine what kind of clothing these items came from. A metal object bearing property tag number 8154, a zipper pull bearing property tag number 8138, clothing snaps bearing property tag numbers 8143, 8149, clothing rivets bearing property tag numbers 8119, 8120, 8121, 8122, 8124, a metal piece bearing property tag number 8125. After looking at the items and determining the rivets had come from Dassey Fuentes-style jeans, I repackaged all items. The items were returned to secure storage. I packaged a box containing 10 22 long rifle empty casings bearing property tag number 640 for the Wisconsin State Crime Lab. The 22 long rifle empty casings were found on the garage floor of the Avery residence at 12332 Avery Road. 2 spent .22 caliber shells bearing property tag numbers 8155 and 8141 were taken out of evidence by me. After determining these 2 shells were not going to be sent to the Wisconsin State Crime Lab, they were returned to secure storage. A roadside emergency kit bearing property tag number 8442 was released to Investigator Weger for identification purposes. The roadside emergency kit was signed over to Investigator Weger. I received 2 packages from Gerald E. Mullen, Special Agent from the FBI. The packages contain the following: 1 paper bag containing unidentified material bearing property tag number 7839, a second paper bag containing unidentified material, property tag number 7839, buccal swab standards from Karen Habach, bearing property tag number 7839, 2 extracted tubes bearing property tag number 7840, page 425, a second set of extracted tubes bearing property tag number 7840, a third set of extracted tubes, 1 diluted tube bearing property tag number 7840. These items were logged in and put in secure storage. Deputy Jeremy Hawkins, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 426. Type of activity, supplemental report. Date of activity, none. Reporting Officer Deputy Jeremy Hawkins. On 02/11/06, I, Deputy Jeremy Hawkins of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, received the Emergency Roadside Assistance Kit bearing property tag number 8442 from Investigator Weger. The kit was secured into locked storage. Financial records of Teresa Habach bearing property tag number 7825 were placed into a secure locker to be turned over to Investigator Mark Weger. On 02/13/06, the package containing the 10 22 long rifle casings was sent certified mail to the Wisconsin State Crime Lab. On 01/13/06, the items that were in the 8 paper bags that the Wisconsin State Crime Lab had sealed and placed in the rear cargo area of the Toyota RAV4, which were the contents of the Toyota RAV4, with plate number SWH-582, were all photographed and are as follows: a dirty rag bearing property tag number 8093, window cleaner wipes bearing property tag number 8094, green colored pen with the word Marble Essence bearing property tag number 8095, Bic mechanical pencil bearing property tag number 8096, cassette label bearing property tag number 8097, St. Christopher clip bearing property tag number 8098, a piece of paper with writing of English and French bearing property tag number 8099, tampon soft super bearing property tag number 8100, a Pure A odor eliminator bearing property tag number 8007, a F&M bank pen bearing property tag number 7125, a Ziploc bag bearing property tag number 7126, a Durastrap Band-Aid bearing property tag number 7127, a headset for a cell phone bearing property tag number 7128, a second green colored Marble Essence pen bearing property tag number 7129, Body Splash Spray, bearing property tag number 7130. CD of Cody's Mix, bearing property tag number 7131. GPX CD player adapter and converter, bearing property tag number 7132. Air Up Tire Inflator and Sealer, bearing property tag number 8073. Red colored number 2 pencil, bearing property tag number 8074. Green colored plastic eye scraper, bearing property tag number 8075. Page 427. Lint roller bearing property tag number 8076. Royal Jelly fragrance bottle bearing property tag number 8077. Bath and Body hand gel bearing property tag number 8078. Mary Kay satin hands bearing property tag number 8079. Chris Isaac music CD bearing property tag number 8715. Silver pocket knife bearing property tag number 8716. Plug adapter bearing property tag number 8717. Piece of Eclipse chewing gum bearing property tag number 8718. Air National Guard lanyard bearing property tag number 8719. Zebra silver pen bearing property tag number 8720. Blue barrel automatic pencil bearing property tag number 8721. Scotch tape bearing property tag number 8722. Black paper mache comfort pen bearing property tag number 8723. Lint paper with hair bearing property tag number 8230. 4 Duracell batteries and also 2 Energizer AA batteries bearing property tag number 8231. 2 business cards, one of Photographic Memories and one of Lynn Terensky bearing property tag number 8232. A used hand wipe bearing property tag number 8233. A Market Pantry Chewy granola bar wrapper bearing property tag number 8234. Plastic memory card holder bearing property tag number 8235. Hair tie bearing property tag number 8236. 2 Bic pens and 1 fish window pen bearing property tag number 8237. 1 cream saver, 2 Go Lightly candies, 1 Orbit gum, 1 Orbit wrapper, and 1 other plastic wrapper bearing property tag number 8238. 2 dimes and 1 penny bearing property tag number 8240. 2 bobby pins and a hair clip bearing property tag number 8241. Again, all items were photographed, packaged, and placed in secure evidence storage. Also found in the rear of the RAV4 was a tripod bearing property tag number 8242 and a silver-colored cardboard box bearing property tag number 8092. In the driver's front seat was an envelope containing bolts for the drive shaft of the motor vehicle, bearing property tag number 8239. The bags that all the items were located in were placed in a brown paper bag bearing property tag number 8243. Page 428. Deputy Jeremy Hawkins, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 429. Type of activity, interview of Jody Stachowski, date of activity 02/20/06 at 16:10 hours, reporting officer investigator Mark Weger. On 02/20/06 at approximately 16:10 hours, I, Investigator Weger of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, along with Investigator Baldwin, went to the Manitowoc County Jail to again speak with Jody Stachowski. Upon arrival, Jody was removed from the jail and taken up to the second floor investigator's interview area. I informed Jody I wanted to talk to her again about her relationship with Steven Avery. Jody stated to me she had met Steven at the end of May or at the beginning of June in 2004. She stated it would have been approximately 9 months after Steven had gotten out of prison. She stated when she met him, she started dating him right away. Jody stated things were great at first and they mostly stayed at home and goofed around outside. Jody stated things started going bad when she first found out about Steven's relationship with Blank. She believed that to be around September of 2004. Jody stated she had overheard Steven and Blank talking on the phone. Jody states initially she let go of it for a couple of days. The next thing that happened was that Steven had left one day and never came home at night. Steven told Jody he was busy pulling transmissions out of cars. Jody stated she knew that it was not true because he would not stay overnight because he was pulling out transmissions somewhere. Jody got very angry with Steven, at which time Steven stated he was sleeping with Blank and Crivets. At that point, Jody told Steven to pack his bags, and she kicked him out of the house. According to Jody, a fight then ensued, and Steven grabbed a shirt and ripped it. Jody stated she was holding onto the shirt, and Steven grabbed at it and then also backhanded her in the jaw. He then left the house and started packing his stuff into the ice shanty where he was going to live. I asked Jody if she could be more specific about the date when this happened, to which she stated she could not. The second time they had gotten into an altercation, according to Jody, was when she had gone to the races with some friends. She stated she went to the races with a person by the name of Tammy Weber. According to Jody, Steven had gone up north at the time and had come home. Jody stated she had an argument, and then Tammy Weber brought her back to her and Steven's house. Jody states she walked into the trailer and looked around the house to make sure Steven was not there. Jody states while she was walking around the house, her cell phone rang. When she answered the cell phone, it was Steven, and Steven asked Jody what she was wearing. Jody stated immediately she knew that Steven was somewhere in the area. Jody stated she'd said to Steven, "I know you were looking at me." Jody then turned around, page 430, and he was standing there looking at her. At that point, Jody stated they started arguing. She stated Steven was mad at her because she had been drinking. At that time, he came up and pushed her, and she fell backwards into a chair. Jody then told Steven she was going to call the cops. Steven told her to go ahead and call the cops. There was nothing that we could do to him. Jody then stated she, in fact, did call the police. Steven then came up to Jody in front of her and began choking her, placing both of his hands around Jody's neck. Steven choked Jody until she blacked out. Jody states she remembers blacking out because she remembers falling to her knees. Jody stated when she came to, she was lying on the floor and he was trying to drag her out of the front door of the trailer. Jody stated she eventually got up onto her feet and Steven grabbed her by her sweatshirt and dragged her over his truck, which he forced her to get into. According to Jody, they then drove out of the driveway and went down 147. That is when the police had pulled them over and Steven got arrested. Again, Jody was not sure of the date of this occurrence. Jody said the last incident occurred in spring of 2005 when they'd gone to Crivets. Jody states they were all out in the woods and she and Steven's dad, Alan, snuck away and went back into the cabin to have a few beers. When they came back to where they were working in the woods, she was chewing gum and sucking on candy. She did not remember which. Jody states Steven noticed she was chewing gum or sucking on candy and confronted her about having been gone and drinking. Jody stated she admitted to him that she had gone with his father and had a few beers, at which time Steven slapped her across the face with an open hand. I asked Jody what she did then. She stated she just walked away. Jody stated on one occasion that he had smashed her cell phone while they were up north because she had changed her mind and did not want to go ice fishing with him. I asked her when this was. She stated that she could not exactly remember. I questioned Jody what type of jeans she wears. She states she wears Levi's as well as Lee jeans and St. John's Bay jeans. She states she shops at JCPenney's and Walmart. I asked her if she had ever owned a pair of Daisy Fuentes jeans, to which Jody said she did not. She stated she never shopped at Kohl's where the Daisy Fuentes jeans are sold. She did tell me she had previously burned clothing in the burn pit area. However, again, she would not have burned any Daisy Fuentes jeans. I asked Jody if she had burned anything in the burn barrel on the property. She stated she, in fact, had burned some clothes in the burn barrel along with the garbage. Jody denied burning any type of cell phone. She also denied burning any type of camera in the burn barrel. I again just reaffirmed with her if she had ever burned any Daisy Fuentes jeans, to which she stated, "I've never owned any Daisy Fuentes jeans. I don't like Daisy Fuentes." All right, you guys, let's start a review on page 421. Now, most of this today is just more for our note-taking than drawing conclusions. A note would be that they've retained the John Deere skid steer in evidence for a while, and that's property tag 8667. But it's not very long before they do release it on December 8th to Charles Avery. So they do get the skid steer back, but what I would like to know is what kind of testing was done on the skid steer? Was it luminol? Did the cadaver dogs hit on it? And on page 423, we're talking January. And just a little note here. For just a short time on the 13th of January, Mark Wiegert removes from evidence a pair of broken glasses bearing property tag 7100, a Toyota key, a single key, and 2 keys on a key ring bearing 2003. And he also takes the compact laptop, which that he turns over to the mother, Karen Halbach. So just take some note that he just checks it out of evidence for the afternoon of the 13th of January. Now, on page 424, we do have the special agent from the FBI, Gerald E. Mullen, and he sends 2 packages over to the evidence custodian, which is Jeremy Hawkins. 2 of the bags contain unidentified material. The 3rd bag contains buccal swab standards from Karen Halbach. Now, what's interesting is you see 2 extracted tubes on the property tag 7840, which is the next one. And also with the 7840 tag is a second set of extracted tubes and a 3rd set of extracted tubes, the last one having a dilution tube. So we're either talking DNA, which can be extracted, or blood. And I'm not sure which, because both can be extracted and it doesn't clarify. So is this something to do with the DNA testing, the mitochondrial DNA? I'm not sure. I think we should check into it, though. Page 426, he's discussing Jeremy Hawkins is receiving the emergency roadside assistant kit, and he labels that 8242. But what's interesting is the stuff that's stored in the back of the wrap that was in the back of the wrap. We have a piece of paper with the writing of English and French, which drew my attention. And then, of course, the CD of Cody's Mix, which we've all kind of tried to look at. We also have the Air Up tire inflator and sealer. And then on page 427, we find the lanyard, a piece of the lanyard, part of the lanyard, as well as we have Lynn Terzinski, who is on a business card. So that's interesting. I did look up Lynn. They live in Green Bay, and that's all I'm going to say. But again, we see a silver-colored cardboard box bearing property tag number 8092. What was in the box when they found it sitting on the hood of the RAV? What would the planter or the killer have left in a duct-taped old box? Now, duct-taped would mean the box would hold together better. It also would be structurally heavy enough to hold something that weighs a little bit more. So if it's not that they want it waterproof, maybe it's to secure the box from falling apart. But what was in the box? And then we're going to jump over to page 429. We're talking about Jody again. And Jody stating that she ended up meeting Steven at the end or the beginning of May in 2004. The end of May or the beginning of June in 2004. And she stated it was approximately 9 months after Steven got out of prison. She stated she thought that the relationship with Marie was around September of 2004. And she did overhear Steven and Marie talking on the phone. So if this person has raped you, why would you be talking to them on the phone? Perhaps the story is more along the lines that they had a fling or a thing going. Then Jody goes on to a fight that they had where Steven was arrested. This is the one where she didn't have marks on her and she didn't want to press charges, They get into a big squabble. He grabs the shirt and he backhands her in the jaw, according to her. However, again, the police department themselves and law enforcement explain that there are no marks on her and she does not wish to press any charges. And we've all heard about the race. If you've been reading this CASO with us, you'll know that there was a big squabble over the race, and now we know that the person that was encouraging Jody to go to the races was, of course, Tammy Weber. And then on page 430, she states there was another time when she fell backwards in her chair. Stephen was mad. He gave her a push because she had been drinking. And then Jody said that he began to choke her. He came up in front of her and began choking her, placing his hands around Jody's neck. She even claims to have blacked out. She states she remembers blacking out because she remembers falling to her knees, and that he dragged her to the car, the front door of the trailer, and then grabbed her by her sweatshirt and dragged her over his truck, which he forced her to get into. How do you drag someone over the truck? Oh, over to his truck, I'm sorry, and forced her to get into. Then the police do pull him over, and he is arrested. Again, she drops the charges. Jody then states that she had gone with Alan Avery in secret and had a few beers, and Stephen slapped her in the face with an open hand for that. She states she, in fact, had burned some clothing in the burn barrel, along with other garbage, but that she doesn't like Dassey Fuentes, and those were never hers because she didn't own any Dassey Fuente jeans. So, like I said, today's more, that's my dog Maya, who's snoring, trying to wake her up. But it's more for note-taking today than anything else, just for us to take some notes so that as we come upon more on these items and this information, we can connect the dots later. And thank you for joining me on this read. Thank you so much for joining me on the Daily MaM Reading. We've just completed part 43. Wow, you guys. I don't know what to think about a lot of this because it really just gives us more questions than answers so often. If you didn't do the crime, you shouldn't do the time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.